years, India is finished, secularism is finished, constitution is finished because of the demolition of Babri Masjid or Babri structure. In fact, I had a senior colleague, and you probably will know about him, Mr. Arun Shori. So he made one iconic statement. He told me, we were just talking, he said, Balbir, this is the first Islamic act by the Hindus. This is how he described the demolition of the Babri structure. So Dr. A.M. Khusro, who was earlier a vice chancellor, also a known academician, he was the editor of the paper. So obviously he wrote a huge editorial criticizing the demolition and constitution over, this is over. As a chief of bureau, I had the privilege of writing a news analysis. So his piece was to appear on the edit page, and my news analysis, being a chief of bureau, will appear on page 1. So I wrote what I felt like, and the news editor got confused. Chief of bureau is writing one thing on page 1, editor is writing completely different thing on the edit page. So he called me at my house because I had written the piece and given. He said, Balbir, we cannot carry this piece because it is in total contradiction of the policy of the paper. Next day I went to Dr. Khusro. Dr. Khusro said, obviously this piece cannot be taken. I said, sir, if I cannot write what I feel, and what I write is on irrefutable facts and logic, then I cannot continue as a chief of bureau, and here is my resignation. He was shocked. He said, on this issue you will resign. I said, sir, if I cannot write what I feel like, what's the point of being here? He was essentially a gentleman. He said, please keep the resignation, we'll use it on page 1. So that piece, the only piece in English journalism which analyzed the whole situation, it appeared in 3 installments in fact. And that piece was picked up by Vigil in a publication which they had brought out in 1993. I don't know whether you remember that booklet which you brought on Ayodhya demolition. So that is my association with the Vigil. Vigil is an organization consisting of completely self-effacing persons. I asked just now somebody, sir, give me a couple of names which I can mention while addressing. He said, sir, just mention Vigil, we don't have names. Where will you find such social workers? You should at least applaud for them. It's something. Now, we are here to discuss partition. In fact, since tomorrow is Independence Day, it is day to celebrate, definitely. But more than celebration, it is a day also for introspection and ask some questions. And also ask whether we are completely, fully independent even today. See, 15th August 1947 took the Hindu community complete by surprise. I had the privilege of working with people like Balraj Madhok, Vijay Kumar Malhotra, Madanlal Khurana in Delhi, being in BJP. These people were in their 20s prior to their partition. And they were all Sangh workers, RSS workers. And what they shared with me, it is even true today. They said, if we went to somebody established Hindu or Sikh in 1946 when partition looked like a inevitable thing. And Lahore was more than 50% Hindu and Sikh. Muslims were in minority in the city. Of course, in the district they were in majority, but in the city they were in minority. So Lahore was essentially a Hindu and Sikh. I've been to Lahore at least 4 times after partition. And even now you find the names of the street completely Hindu. He said when we'll go and talk to these Hindus and Sikh businessmen, professionals, half the people will turn us out. Get out, bloody you hate mongers. How dare you talk like this? We have been living like brothers for centuries. Next door Khan Sahib, he has been my neighbor for 4 generations. My daughter got married at his house. How dare you tell us that there will be something like Pakistan and there would be riots like this and we should be prepared. He said at least half the people turned us out. And within 6-8 months, RSS office in Lahore had 2 phones. They were ringing constantly and these people were pleading, please evacuate us from there. And I still, even today, find that sort of indifference in the Hindu community. It just cannot see the danger which is staring its face. Most interesting, those of you who can access Satish Gujral's autobiography. Satish Gujral, younger brother of I.K. Gujral, Indra Kumar Gujral, who was the Prime Minister of country for in between. And Satish Gujral was his younger brother, and he was deaf, but he was one of the greatest painters India has produced. And their father's name was Avatar Narayan Gujral. And he was the biggest leader of what is now Pakistan, of that area. And he used to live in Jhelum, his ancestral place. And Satish Gujral has written in his autobiography, 1 chapter, what happened during partition. Avatar Narayan Gujral, who was a great Congress leader, having access to Nehru, Gandhiji, Jinnah, everybody, he kept telling people, don't go away from here, don't go away from here, nothing is going to happen. And according to Satish Gujral, most of them got slaughtered. Most of them got slaughtered. Sitting ducks. With the help of some Muslims, Avatar Narayan Gujral managed to go to Lahore and meet Jinnah. Jinnah told him it's a passing phase. Everything is going to be fine. Don't go anywhere. Avatar Narayan Gujral believed him, stayed back, became a member of the Pakistan Constituent Assembly, signed the constitution, and 1948, a year later, like a thief, he quietly slid out of Pakistan and found refuge in Jalandhar in Punjab, Indian side of Punjab. Same thing happened to Jogendranath Mandal, who was a Dalit leader of pre-partition time. And at that point of time, there was talk, as it is today, of Dalit Muslim collaboration. The narrative is both Dalits and Muslims are exploited by high caste Hindus. So they must be together. They are natural allies. So when partition happened, Jogendranath Mandal migrated to East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. Within a year, like Avatar Narayan Gujral, he became a minister in the government. But as a minister also, he had absolutely no say in running up the government. And he found that Dalits were being killed the way caste Hindus were killed by Muslims. Then he realized to a Muslim, either Dalit or a caste Hindu, both are kafirs and treated as such. Now, the question is, and you know, more than 1 crore people got displaced. More than 1 crore people. Number of people who died is anything between 1 to 2 million. Nobody knows how many people died. Now the issue is, was partition avoidable? My answer is yes. It was avoidable. But we didn't have the verve, the strength, the determination to fight against the forces which were determined to divide the country. See, I will take you back to 1861 to the USA. Abraham Lincoln, the then president, was faced with the issue whether slavery should continue or not. And there were states which said slavery has to continue. It has a sanction from the Bible. It is a morally right. Abraham Lincoln took a stand and decided to take on those who wanted slavery to continue. Friends, the war between the pro-slavery and anti-slavery forces started on April 12, 1861. It continued for 4 years, 1 month, and 2 weeks. And you know how many American lives did it cost? More than 1 million. More than 1 million of Americans died in that war. But it settled the issue for good. We didn't have the heart to take on this sort of effort. And what demoralized us was 16th August 1946. I am moving you from America to Calcutta now. And Muslim League had given a call for direct action. They called it direct action. 16th August 1946. And in the first 3 days, more than 20,000 Hindus were killed on the streets of Calcutta. Then one man who used to sell mutton, his name was Gopal Patha. He couldn't control himself. And he realized that we cannot depend on police or army to protect ourselves. He gave a call. He got onto the street with a sword in his hand. Then counter-violence started. But the Congress leadership, which had the leadership of the Hindus and the country, they realized that we cannot fight. We just cannot fight. So if we cannot fight, then better to give what Muslim League wants. And therefore, the Congress leadership agreed for the partition of the country, and it was done without any play. When I say that whether we are completely independent or not, I've got 2 questions to ask you. Number 1, that what is Bangladesh and Pakistan? What are these 2? They are part of India under Islamic occupation. They are parts of India under Islamic occupation. Earlier the entire country was slave. Now regional India is independent, but 1/4 of India continues to be under enslavement. Second, we were ruled by aliens till 1947. In 1947, the aliens left. And for a long time after that, we have been ruled by the alienated. From aliens to be ruled by alienated. And this shows in several of the developments which have taken place in the last 75 or 76 years of independence. Now, you see, the British took control of India after Robert Clive won the Battle of Plassey in 1757. They left after 190 years in 1947, and for next 60 or 70 years, we have been ruled by the Manas Putras. I don't have a better word, Manas Putras of the British. Now, when I trace the history of India, a few things need to be mentioned. The first Islamic attack happened in 1712 by Muhammad bin Qasim. But that didn't have much impact. In fact, I have divided the entire era of these attacks, Islamic attacks, into 5 parts. The second was Muhammad Ghaznavi's attack in early 11th century. And 2 centuries later, Muhammad Ghori attacked, and he established a sultanate which lasted for 320 years. And then in 1526, Babur attacked and established the Mughal dynasty. And it continued till 1857. After this, what you can say, titular head, Bahadur Shah Zafar, was deposed and sent to Rangoon by the British. Fact is, friends, the Mughal rule in India or Islamic rule in India was virtually had come to an end in 1707 after the death of Aurangzeb. After Aurangzeb died, you had Marathas controlling large parts of western and southern India. In the north, in Rajasthan, you had the Rajputs, you had the Jats, and in Punjab, it were the Sikhs. So virtually, the country was getting free from Islamic influence. But something very interesting happened. There was one Shah Waliullah. Shah Waliullah. He was of Arabic origin. His parents settled in UP and then in Delhi. And he sent a message to Abdali that you must come, invited him, attack India and re-establish Islam. Don't miss the context. Shah Waliullah was an Indian. He was living here for generations. He invited a foreigner, and listening to him, heeding his invitation, Abdali came, and we had the third battle of Panipat, and in 1761. And as they say in English, the Abdali had a victory, but it was a Pyrrhic victory. Pyrrhic means a victory which comes at a great cost and which doesn't mean anything. So he left India for good. He went back. But that left the Indians, Marathas, so weak. When the British came, they didn't have the enough strength to combat them. And the last battle which took place, that took place at the very place where I live today. That is, area is called Noida, next to Delhi. At that time there was no Noida. It was called Patparganj. And the battle took place on 1803. and the English won. But very interesting thing. Till that time, the Mughal emperor, Shah Alam II, he was a pensioner of the Marathas. After the Marathas lost, he happily became pensioner of the British. And the arrangement continued till 1857. Now question is, why did Muslims repeatedly attack India? Some of our leftist historians try to explain that India was land of wealth, sone ki chidiya, temples were full of wealth, so they came only to loot. This is half the truth. They came to slaughter the Kafirs and also to plunder them. And there are numerous instances. For example, Muhammad Ghazni, in fact, when in 1998 he was anointed as Sultan in Ghazni, he took a vow. It is not recorded. That every year I will go to India to slaughter the Kafirs and plunder them. He ruled for 36 years. He came as many as 17 or 18 times to keep his promise. And when he went to attack Somnath, the pujaris over there, they offered him all the wealth they had and said, spare the shivling. Don't break the shivling. Don't humiliate the shivling. He said, I don't want your wealth. When I go and face Allah, I want to be known as Buddh Shikan, somebody who broke idols and was a good Muslim, and not somebody who was just a looter. So, to say that the temples and the Hindus were attacked because they were rich, it is half truth, not the complete truth. We were attacked that because in their eyes we were Kafirs. Now, after the British had established themselves here, 1857 happened. And when the 1857 happened, they wanted to make sure that there is no repetition. So they were intelligent people, hardworking people. They studied the subjects. So they worked for 5 years on the Indian society and identified 7 fault lines. I'll mention these 7 fault lines, but I will not go into detail of each one of them, because each one of them will deserve a separate session. I'll just name them. The first fault line was Hindu versus Muslim, because in 1857 both had come together against them. So it was very necessary for them to disengage them, and traditionally they have been enemies for 600 years, so it was not a difficult job. Then Hindu versus Sikhs, then Aryans versus rest, Aryan theory, then tribals versus rest, then Dalit versus rest, and wherever there were local kingdoms, and we had 560 of them, and wherever the local ruler was not very friendly to them, they provoked the local population against their own king. And last, and we all know it, particularly standing in Chennai today, it is north versus south. So these were the fault lines they worked. Now, and out of that was born Pakistan. Now Pakistan is a country, I've been there at least 4 times as a member of parliament. It's full of contradictions. In fact, I was at a public program which was attended by almost 1,000 people, organized by Zio TV. And on the stage I had Lalu Prasad Yadav, who was a member of the delegation, and Mani Shankar here. So I was asked to speak, and my opening sentence was, and they jumped out of their seats. I said, in Indian subcontinent, only there are 2 types of people. In the Indian subcontinent, there are only two type of people, Hindus and ex-Hindus. Thank you very much for your applaud. But there, people stood up, started protesting. Next 10 minutes, there was complete confusion in the hall. I said, please come and prove me wrong. How many of you have come from Turkey and Arabia? You are my flesh and blood. Your forefathers converted mainly for three reasons. Either they felt Islam was a good religion, or they were given the choice between a sword and accepting Islam, and third, they were offered some allurement. That's all. But 2 generations back, 5 generations back, 7 generations back, 10 generations back, each one of them you is a Hindu. So Pakistan is caught up in big confusion. If you go to their official website, they say two things simultaneously. They trace their origin to Takshila, claim Chanakya was theirs, Panini was there, and Vedas were created here. They make all these claims. And also say the first brick to build the edifice of Pakistan was laid when Muhammad bin Qasim attacked India in 712. So you take pride in the civilization and equally also take pride in all those who have destroyed the civilization. How can you do both the things together? And you know, their missiles, they have named everybody invader who have come and destroyed India. Their missiles are named Abdali, Babar, Gauri, Ghaznavi, Tipu Sultan. These are the names of their, ours are Prithvi, Akash, you know, on elements of nature. But theirs are named on the very people who destroyed that very civilization on which they take pride. And you can see it in action. At the time of partition, Hindu, Sikh and Buddhists were 24% of the population. East Pakistan had 30% Hindu and Buddhist population. West Pakistan had 16% Hindu and Sikh population. Today, what we call Pakistan, it has less than 2% Hindu population. Sikhs can be counted on fingertips. And what we knew as East Pakistan, now called Bangladesh, from 30%, the share of Hindu and Buddhist population has dropped to less than 8%. So this is how the genocide has happened. Now, we all know what is happening in Bangladesh. And see, if you go by performance of Sheikh Hasina, she was Prime Minister for 15 years, it's amazing. See, the GDP throughout grew up almost by 6%. Then per capita income, which was only $1,000 when she took over, it is now $2,600, more than doubled. Life expectancy, which was 50 years, it has gone up to 72 years. And fertility rate, which was 6.6, it has dropped to 2.2. And children immunization, shocking. It was just 2% when she took over. Now it is 100%. But in spite of this sterling performance, she could not stay in power. Why? In fact, according to me, and I want the attention of each one of you, because it's going to be very, very important. What is happening in Bangladesh today is neo-colonialism. Earlier colonial powers will move the army, take control of a country. Today, in this new system, the colonial powers create confusion in the host country and are managed to overturn governments and take control of the country. It has been happening elsewhere also, and it has happened in Bangladesh. Now, I'm just going back to creation of Pakistan. How was Pakistan created? British wanted a foothold in this part of the world after they've gone. They wanted a satellite state. Residual India could not be in a satellite state. They negotiated with Jinnah, created a state with the help of communists, interestingly. The imperialistic powers and the communists came together to build an intellectual paradigm which will justify creation of an Islamic state, which the Western powers could use as their foothold to contain China and Russia, basically. They used Islamic fundamentalism to further their cause. It's a repetition of the same thing in Bangladesh. America, the deep state, has used the Islamic fundamentalists to create, to depose the democratically elected government, and they have installed their own person. Don't get carried away by temple visit of Muhammad Yunus. Don't get away. It's just a facade. I'll just take you back to 11th August 1947. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, made a statement in the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan in which he said, virtually quote unquote, that Hindus will be free to go to their temples, Christians will be free to go to their churches, Muslims will be free to go to their mosques, and state will have nothing to do with their religion. You know, it's like a fisherman who keeps a bait to attract the fish, then catch it. So don't get carried away by. Now even Sheikh Hasina has alleged in a statement that Americans wanted the state Martin Island to make as their base, and she has said no, and since she didn't agree, and therefore she was removed. In fact, Sheikh Hasina did protect the minorities, the Hindus and Buddhists. At the same time, she also tried to cultivate and curry favor with the Islamic fundamentalists. And there are any number of details. And she became Hifazat-e-Islam, and then she became Qawmi Mata, because she made the degrees given by madrasas equivalent to the regular universities. And then she said she will run the country as per the Charter of Medina. And this policy of running with the hare and hunting with the hound did not pay, and she unfortunately fell into two schools. Now, again I come back to the issue of Pakistan. There are very two interesting things with regard to Pakistan. Number one, the area which constitutes Pakistan today, Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, Pakhtunistan, the people living over there, the Muslims living over there never wanted Pakistan. Please mark my words. Whatever constitutes Pakistan today, Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, Pakhtunistan, The people living over there, particularly the Muslims, never wanted Pakistan. Who wanted Pakistan? Pakistan was wanted. People who worked for the creation of Pakistan were mainly from Uttar Pradesh, from Bihar, Bengal, parts of Maharashtra. In fact, Jinnah himself won an election on the issue of Pakistan, not one of these 4 areas which I mentioned. He won the election from Bombay. It was Bombay which elected him and voted for the Pakistan. Now, I'll just share a couple of details. In Sindh, Allah Baksh Muhammad Umar Samro, he was the 2-time CM of Sindh province between 1938 and 40 and 41 and 42. And throughout his tenure, he spoke against Jinnah. He spoke against the very idea of Pakistan. When Jinnah realized that he could not win him over, he collaborated with the British and got his government dismissed. Now coming to Punjab, Sikandar Hayat Khan of Unionist Party, he was they were used to call Prime Minister of Punjab between 1937 and 1942. And Malik Hizar Hayat Tiwana, he was from 1942 to 47. 37 to 47, 2 chief ministers. Both abused Jinnah. Both said, how can we divide the Punjabis between Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims? We are one people. We don't want division. When Jinnah failed to win him over, he collaborated with Pakistan and got with the British and got him sacked in March 1947. So the people who wanted Pakistan, they were in India and they are very much in India even today. The origins of Pakistan are in a speech which Sir Syed Ahmad Khan made in Meerut on March 16, 1888. And there is, I think, a audiovisual one. You know, he made a speech which I will like to display here, and Ramji is going to read it.
For the benefit of those that can't see the screen, I'm reading out. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in Meerut, March 16, 1888, says, suppose that the English community and the army were to leave India, who then would be the rulers of India? Is it possible that under these circumstances, 2 nations, the Mohammedans and the Hindus, could sit on the same throne and remain equal in power? Most certainly not. It is necessary that one of them should conquer the other.
Now, this is the basic paradigm of Pakistan. He set up an education institution which later on, after his death, became Aligarh Muslim University. Muhammad Ali Jinnah in 1941 paid a huge compliment to AMU. He said AMU is the arsenal of an idea called Pakistan. And so Pakistan came into being. But those who wanted Pakistan, most of them did not go to Pakistan. They stayed back here. And as many as 28 members of the Muslim League became members of the Indian Constituent Assembly. After working for the creation of Pakistan, Pakistan is made, they don't go there, they stay back here, and 28 of them become member of the Constituent Assembly. In fact, Begum Aziz Rasool, Muslim League leader from UP, became a member of the Constituent Assembly, then Congress MLA, and then Cabinet Minister in UP. Raja of Pirpur, who made that People Committee report in 1938 justifying the creation of Pakistan. He became a MP, he became a minister, and he was a part of the ruling establishment. So these people overnight became secular. They became rulers again, and those who had opposed Pakistan, they became communal. And that was the irony. And now that I am standing in Tamil Nadu, Chennai, I cannot help but talk about Mr. Muhammad Ismail. Mr. Muhammad Ismail was those days Tamil Nadu was called Madras, and he was the president of Madras Muslim League and relentlessly worked for the creation of Pakistan. When Pakistan came into being, he was silent for 6 months. In 1948, he made Indian Muslim League. And Indian Muslim League is a functioning party, in Kerala particularly. It is a secular party because Congress and Communists say they are secular. Somebody who had worked for the creation of Pakistan. And of course, Sardar Patel could see this contradiction. And speaking in Calcutta on 3rd January 1948, and audiovisual too, we will have one paragraph displayed here, and please read.
Sardar Patel, Jan 3rd, 1948. The Muslims who are still in India, all of them help in the creation of Pakistan.
Sardar Patel saying it.
Has their nation changed overnight? I don't understand how it changed so much. They now say they are loyal and ask why their loyalty is being questioned. So I reply, why are you questioning us? Ask yourself. This is not something you should ask us.
Then there is a second speech on 6th January 1948. 3 days later in Lucknow, Sardar Patel asked the same question in a more direct manner.
I am a true friend of the Muslims, although I have been described as their greatest. Condemn the action of Pakistan. These things create doubts in the minds of the people. It is your duty now to sail in the same boat with other Indians and sink or swim together.
Friends, Sardar Patel raised very relevant questions. Pakistan is not a country. It's an idea. It's a communal idea, divisive idea. You may have an Indian passport, but still, ideologically, you can be Pakistani. And this is exactly what Sardar Patel said. Now, one question is raised. India is an artificial construction. It's a product of the Constitution. It's a union of states. Nothing could have been farther from the truth. If there was no India before 15th August 1947, then how did the British form East India Company in 1600? When there was no India, 1600, they formed. The French also formed a East India Company. The Dutch also formed. And in 1492, we all know, Christopher Columbus went in search of a country. Which country? तो अगर 1947 से पहले इंडिया था ही नहीं, तो क्रिस्टोफर किसको ढूंढने के लिए निकला था? It's completely. See, the problem is, India, in fact, there was no defined country till 200 years back. For the simple reason, it was impossible to keep a control of a large area. You know, some even took place in Calcutta. By the time the report will reach Delhi, it will be 3 months. By the time the reply will come, it's another 3 months, situation would have changed completely. So it is only after the steam engine was invented in 1825 and telegraph was invented in 1830, it became possible to maintain large states. Germany became one in 1871. Otherwise, it was divided into 39 small principalities. 1871. And Italy, 1861 to 71, it became one country. And France was also divided into different areas, fighting with each other, and they became together only under 1870. So that was the area when, because of technology, it was possible to go in large areas. So we too became physically one country, but culturally, emotionally, we were always one country, and the world also from outside looked at us as one country. Now, Gandhiji, of course, answered this very question in a very interesting manner. He made a statement in Hind Swaraj in 1909, and one of the sentences which I remember, he said, no two Englishmen are alike the way Indians are. Just display that statement, please.
Gandhiji in 1909. The English have taught us that we were not one nation before and that it will require centuries before we become one nation. This is without foundation. We were one nation before they came to India. One thought inspired us. Our model of life was the same. It was because we were one nation that they were able to establish one kingdom. Subsequently, they divided us. And we Indians are one as no two Englishmen are.
You should clap on Gandhiji this last sentence. Just read the sentence again.
And we Indians are one as no two Englishmen are.
What a beautiful statement. And that statement was made in 1909. Somebody should read out the statement to the leader who says India is nothing but union of states. This must be right. Now, I said in the beginning that we were ruled by the aliens up to 1947 and by the alienated after that. Now, this is best illustrated by a speech which Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru made in Delhi in 1959, and it concerns the temples in South India. Just please.
Some of the temples of the south, however, repel me in spite of their beauty. I just can't stand them. Why? I do not know. I cannot explain that. But they are oppressive. They suppress my spirit. They do not allow me to rise. They keep me down.
See how alienated this man was from the culture and ethos of this country. And after independence, the question was to appoint the army chief. A meeting was held in Delhi. And Nehru said that we have to continue with the English officers. And he did continue with Englishmen as the Air Force chief, Navy chief and Army chief for years. Because we don't have people with caliber and experience. There was one Lieutenant General called Nathu Singh Rathore. He was present in the meeting. He was an old man. He said, "Sir, I want to say something." Nehru said, "Okay, what do you want to say?" "Sir, you say that we don't have experienced people to lead the army and air force. We never had a prime minister. There is nobody with the experience of a prime minister. So should we get a prime minister from some foreign country?" Now, this Ramji temple took more than 70 years to build. Only if Nehru had listened to what Gandhiji had to say on this subject, you would have a Ram temple right after independence. What Gandhiji had to say, Ramji, please.
If A is in possession of his land and someone comes to build some things on it, be it even a mosque, A has the right at the first opportunity of pulling down the structure.
This is what Karsevaks did. What Gandhi said.
Any building of the shape of a mosque is not a mosque. A building put up on another's land without his permission is a pure robbery. If A has not the will or the capacity to destroy the building miscalled mosque, he has the right of going to a law court to have the building pulled down. Law courts are forbidden to convinced non-cooperators, but not to those who require such conviction.
Great statement by Gandhi ji made as back as in 1925, exactly 100 years back. So only if Nehru ji had listened to this temple would have been built 70 years back. Now, I'm coming to the end of my speech. Only two issues remain. Number one is that how come that we are a secular country? Is it because of the word secularism which was surreptitiously put into the constitution in 1976? There is a center called India International Center in Delhi. And I think it was 1980 or something. A British lord had come to speak. And I was there in the audience. He spoke very highly about the British rule in India, what all the British did to educate and improve the lives of Indians. Then he said that our greatest gift to India were the values of democracy and secularism. Then there was question answer. I raised my hand. Yes. I said, sir, we are very grateful that you gifted these two values of secularism and democracy to India. But tell me, why did you deprive Bangladesh and Pakistan of these two gifts? We are a democracy and a secular country because of our Hindu ethos. And he didn't have any answer. Friends, things are changing. When Vajpayee ji became the Prime Minister, till that time the budget was presented in Lok Sabha at 5 p.m. because that's the time when the British Parliament will open. And this practice continued almost, what you can say, 60 years after independence. Vajpayee ji changed it. After Modi ji has come to power, if I have to narrate everything, then I will need another session. And the organizers want me to finish the whole thing in the next 5 minutes. So I don't want to tax your patience. Let me tell you one thing. We do have problems. We do have. We have to deal with them. We are aiming to become a completely developed country by 2047 when we complete 100 years of independence. But that is not going to be easy. But with all the problems, put your hand on your heart and answer. Will any one of you like to migrate to China? Answer? No. Will anybody like to go and settle in Nepal? No. Will anybody like to go and settle in Pakistan? No. Sri Lanka? No. So India is the best country, at least in this part of the world. With these words, I wish you a happy Independence Day. भारत माता की जय! भारत माता की जय! भारत माता की जय! Thank you.
இந்த 15 நாள் என்ன ஆச்சு அப்படின்றத பத்தி ஒரு மென்ஷன் பண்ணார். அதாவது அந்த பார்ட்டிஷன் பொழுது ஒரு 15 நாள் ஆயிரக்கணக்கான லட்சக்கணக்கானவர்கள் கொல்லப்பட்டார்கள். அந்த 15 நாட்களை பற்றி ஒரு புஸ்தகம் இப்போ அங்க 15 தின் அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஹிந்தியில ஒரு புஸ்தகம் இருந்தது. அதை தமிழாக்கம் பண்ணியிருக்க ஸ்ரீ ராஜா பரத்வாஜ் அந்த புத்தகத்தை பற்றி ஒரு ஒரு கருத்துரையும் அதோடைய அந்த புத்தகத்துடைய ஒரு ரிலீஸும் இப்போ இருக்கும். ராஜா பரத்வாஜ், உங்க முதல்ல உங்க புஸ்தகத்தை பத்தி சொல்லிடு. சரி, ரிலீஸ் யா இந்த தமிழ் புஸ்தகம் அந்த 15 நாட்கள்.
Friends, I have read this book in Hindi, the original, written by Prashant Poolji, and now it has been translated into Tamil by Raja Bhardwaj-ji. Thank you, Raja Bhardwaj-ji. I'm sure you must have done a good job. And it's a highly educative book, written in a very racy style. So please get hold of a copy, and it is going to be great education. I compliment Prashant Poolji. I compliment Raja Bhardwaj-ji. God bless them both. Thank you.
வணக்கம். இப்போ எல்லாரும் சொன்ன மாதிரி பிரசாந்த் போல் அப்படிங்கிறவர் வந்து இந்த புஸ்தகத்தை ஒரிஜினலா ஹிந்தியில எழுதினாரு. அதுக்கப்புறமா 9 மொழிகள்ல இது மொழிபெயர்த்து வெளியில வந்திருக்கு. இப்ப தமிழ்லையும் இன்னைக்கு பல்வீர் புஞ்சி வெளியிட்டிருக்கார். ரொம்ப பெருமையா இருக்கு. இந்த புஸ்தகத்தை பத்தி ஜாஸ்தி சொல்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஒரு 5 விஷயங்கள் மாத்திரம் சொல்லலாம்னு நினைக்கிறேன். 5 points, ரைட்? கராச்சியும் லாகோரையும் விட்டு இந்துக்களும் சீக்கியர்களும் குத்துயிரும் கொலையுருமா ஓடி வந்த பொழுது பாம்பேல இருந்து ஒரு விமானத்துல ஒரு பெண்மணி லக்ஷ்மி பாய் கேல்கர்னு பேரு, அவங்க அந்த தீக்குள்ள, நம்ம எபி சென்டர்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, அந்த எபி சென்டருக்குள்ள போனாங்க. இந்த லக்ஷ்மி பாய் கேல்கர்னா யாரு? மௌசி ஜி அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம் நம்ம. ராஷ்டிர சேவிகா சமிதியோட தலைவியா இருந்தாங்க அந்த சமயத்துல. அவங்க எதையும் பொருட்படுத்தாது ஒரு பெண்மணி எழுதிய கடிதத்திற்காக கராச்சி நகருக்குள்ள வெட்டு குத்து வன்புணர்ச்சின்னு கொலை கொள்ளை அங்க நடந்துட்டு இருந்தப்போ எல்லாரும் வெளியில குத்துயிரும் கொலையுருமா ஓடி வந்தப்போ அவங்க உள்ள போனாங்க. அவங்கள பத்தி படிக்கணும் அப்படின்னா இந்த புஸ்தகத்தை படிங்க. 2வது, சர்தார் குல்வந்த் சிங் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய மனுஷன். லாகோர்ல டிஏவி கல்லூரி அப்படின்னு ஒண்ணு இருந்தது அந்த காலத்துல. லாகோர்லயும் டிஏவி காலேஜ் ஒண்ணு இருந்தது. அந்த டிஏவி காலேஜ் வந்து இந்த 15 நாட்கள்ல ஒரு ரெஃப்யூஜி கேம்பா மாற்றப்பட்டது. அந்த ரெஃப்யூஜி கேம்ப்ல இருந்தவங்களுக்கு, இந்துக்களுக்கும் சீக்கியர்களுக்கும் மதிய உணவை லாகோர்ல வேறொரு இடத்துல சமைத்து தன்னுடைய 2 வீலர்ல எடுத்துட்டு போவார் சர்தார் குல்வந்த் சிங். இவர் ஒரு ஸ்வயம் சேவகர். சோ இந்த சர்தார் குல்வந்த் சிங்க ஒரு மத்தியானத்துல அவர் சாப்பாட்டை எடுத்துட்டு வர்றப்ப நடு ரோட்ல வச்சு கொலை பண்ணி, அவர் கையில எடுத்துட்டு வந்த குழம்பும் அவருடைய ரத்தமும் கலந்து சகதியா இருந்த கதையை படிக்கணும்னா இந்த புஸ்தகத்தை தயவு செய்து வாங்கி படிங்க. 3வது, சுச்சேதா கிருப்பளானி அப்படின்னு ஒரு அம்மா இருந்தாங்க. இவங்க யாரு அப்படின்னா அந்த காலத்துல காங்கிரஸ் தலைவர் ஆச்சாரிய ஜேபி கிருப்பளானி இவங்களோட மனைவி. இந்த அம்மா வந்து அந்த 15 நாள் சமயத்துல வந்து கராச்சியில இருந்தாங்க. சோ இந்த அம்மாவை பார்க்கறதுக்கு நிறைய இந்து பெண்கள் வந்திருந்தாங்க, சுத்தி உட்கார்ந்து இருந்தாங்க. அவங்க எல்லாம் அழுகுறாங்க, எங்களை காப்பாத்துங்க, எங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது பண்ணுங்க, எங்களுக்கு இப்படி எல்லாம் நடக்குது, கொடுமை நடக்குது அப்படின்னு அந்த அம்மா கிட்ட அழுகுறாங்க. அந்த அம்மா என்ன தெரியுமா சொல்றாங்க, சுச்சேதா கிருப்பளானி இந்த பெண்களை பார்த்து, ஓ நீங்க கொஞ்சம் நிறைய மேக்கப் போட்டிருக்கீங்க, நீங்க லோ கட் பிளவுஸ் போட்டிருக்கீங்க, அதனால உங்களை முஸ்லிம் சகோதரர்கள் தேடி துரத்தி கொள்றாங்க, அதை மாத்திக்கோங்க நீங்க. இந்த கண்ணீர் கதையை படிக்கணும்னா இந்த புஸ்தகத்தை தயவு செய்து வாங்கி படிங்க. 4வது, டாக்டர் அம்பேத்கர் அவர் இந்த பிரிவினையை பற்றி, இந்த பிரிவினை பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னு சொன்னார் முதல்ல. அது நம்ம எல்லாருக்கும் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும். பண்ணித்தான் ஆகணுங்கிறது முடிவானப்போ அவர் எந்த மாதிரி இதை பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாரு அப்படிங்கறத பத்தி தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னா இந்த புஸ்தகத்தை தயவு செய்து வாங்கி படிங்க. 5வது விஷயம், 200 ரூபாய் இந்த புஸ்தகத்துடைய விலை. இன்னைக்கு வெறும் 150 ரூபாய்க்கு அரங்கத்துக்கு வெளியில இந்த புஸ்தகம் கிடைக்கும். தயவு செய்து உண்மையான வரலாறை, இந்தியாவுடைய உண்மையான வரலாறை, நம்ம ஆகஸ்ட் 15க்கு முன்னாடி இருந்த 15 நாட்கள் எவ்வளவு குரூரமாக இருந்தது, இந்துக்களும் சீக்கியர்களும் எப்படி வீட்டை விட்டு துரத்தி கொல்லப்பட்டனர் அப்படிங்கறத படிக்கணும். அப்படின்னா கட்டாயம் படிக்கணும். நீங்க 150 ரூபாய் அரங்கத்துக்கு வெளியில இருக்கு. தயவு செய்து வாங்கி படிங்க. நன்றி.
நிறைய இளைஞர்கள் இருக்கிறதுனால சாதாரணமா அவங்க பெரிய என்ன ஆகணும், ஒரு பெரிய இப்போ ஒரு பிசினஸ் மேன் ஆகணும், இல்லாட்டி எங்கேயாவது அமெரிக்கா போகணும், இல்லை பெரிய படிப்பு படிக்கணும், ஏதாவது ஒரு பெரிய கம்பெனியில் ஏசி பளபளக்கிற ஒரு கண்ணாடி பில்டிங்குள்ள போய் உட்காந்து ஏதாவது தட்டணும். இதெல்லாம் இயற்கையா சாதாரணமாக ஏற்படக்கூடிய ஒரு எதிர்பார்ப்புகள் நம்மளுடைய எதிர்காலத்தை பத்தி. ஆனா இதெல்லாம் நடக்கணும்னா நமக்கு ஒரு நாடுன்னு ஒண்ணு இருக்கணும். அந்த நாட்டில் ஒரு சுமூகமான சூழ்நிலை இருக்கணும். அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சூழ்நிலை ஏற்படணும் அப்படின்னா இளைஞர்கள் இன்னைக்கு அப்பேற்பட்ட ஒரு சூழ்நிலை உருவாகிறதுக்கு இன்னைக்கு கொஞ்சமாவது தயாராகணும். நமக்கு இது பத்தி ஒண்ணுமே தெரியாம இந்த நாட்டுடைய இந்த உலகத்துல ஏற்படக்கூடிய சில விஷயங்கள், அது நம்ம நாட்டுக்கு ஏற்படக்கூடிய அபாயங்கள், இந்த மாதிரிலாம் என்னன்னே விவரமே தெரியாம நம்ம இருக்கிறது நம்ம நாட்டுக்கோ நம்ம சமுதாயத்துக்கோ நல்லதில்லை. இப்போ பல்பீர் புஞ்சை சொன்னதுக்கும் பொதுவாக நம்ம பேசினதுக்கும் ஏதாவது கேள்விகள் இருந்தால் நேரம் குறைவின் காரணமாக ஒரு 2 கேள்விகள் மட்டும் எடுத்துட்டு முடிச்சிடலாம்.
Yeah. I just want to share. I was born in Lahore in 1944. I came to Madras, my father came to Madras in January of 1948, and he had been coming to Madras since 1942. Now, I mean, we lost 3 houses in Pakistan, Kushab and Sargoda and this thing, and had to start life all over again. I just want to mention one thing, that Lahore was not supposed to go to Pakistan. It went to Pakistan on the 17th of August 1947. So we came with our handbags from Lahore to Delhi to watch the celebration and go back, and we never went back. So, but 2 things I would like to tell everybody, if you want to go into detail.
May have to be a little louder, please.
Sorry, okay. I suggest all of you should watch The Untold Story, Partition, The Untold Story by Govinder Chadha, and also the movie she's produced, The Last Viceroy. 2 things come to my mind from that, which I'll share, and I can give a long talk, but I'd like to share this thing, that Jinnah and Nehru in 1946 had come to an understanding that Jinnah will be in touch with Churchill on his private telegraphic address and not through the government, not through the British government. That was the understanding they had come to, And then Radcliffe, when he came here, he asked the question that how do you expect in 1 month's time, I have come here on the 17th of July, and you want me to divide India by the 15th of August. Churchill had already drawn up the partition of India when he was the Prime Minister. We were very lucky that he was not the Prime Minister when we got independence. And the Viceroy's office, his aide camp came and told Radcliffe, you don't have to do anything. Here there are documents ready, you have to only sign them. Thank you.
Sorry, your question again, please.
Sorry?
Do you have a question? There is no question.
No, I have no question. I just want to share my experience, what it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You added to whatever I had said. Thank you very much for that.
I am Ulagaraj. First of all, a lot of doubts cleared in my mind today. From 1000 onwards, from 1000 years, before 1000 years, you elaborate the history in very detail, all my doubts cleared. There is only one question is there, only one question. At the time of Gajini loot Somnath, at the year, the same year, one South Indian king Rajendra Chola crossed Bhubaneswar for the purpose to construct a temple, Shiva temple. To construct a Shiva temple. There is no news because from any organization he didn't get anything. It is the first past 30 to 40 years the question is in my mind. He is a great king. After all, he is a small
Again,
king.
what's your question?
Is there anything happened? He ignored that issue or he came to know that issue. You are having a deep study in that history. I think you know very well about what happened at that period. Same time happened. He crossed Bhubaneswar. At that time, Somnaswar temple looted by
During
Gajini.
1000 years back, when there was this Gori
Gajini.
Invasion, and at the same time, Rajendra Chola from here had gone right up to the Ganges to build Chola temples, Shiva temples. And would you have any, because there is no much information about that, would you have any information is this question?
Sir, unfortunately, our knowledge of our own history is very, very scanty. We need to work on all these things and imagine Shankaracharya coming from Kaladi in Kerala and going right deep into Uttarakhand and also Kashmir. So these are the things which we need to study further. And thanks for the information. In fact, I didn't know about that the Chola kings had gone to Bhubaneswar, etc. I didn't know. Thank you for knowledge.
We'll take this last question.
Thank you so much, Balbir Kunji, for the inspirational information to us. My thoughts, and I have a question as well for you. The undivided India is like now the deities to us, Lord Krishna, Ram, Shiva. So they're not going to be in front of us, but still we worship. So that's how I see undivided India to be. And all of us, I'm sure, agree. And we see a number of nations proclaiming them to be Christian nations.
Sorry,
and we have,
would I request you to please get into the question?
yeah, absolutely. Just and a number of nations, those who are calling them Islamic nations. Will we have at all the ability to call us a Hindu country? If so, what is your views and when that can be? So can we call us the real Hindustan? Can we call us that? Can we proclaim us to be a Hindu country?
See,
would that ever happen?
You mean whether there would be a Khand Bharat? Well, there is always a possibility and hope. For 2000 years, when Jews wrote to each other, they used to end the letter, our next meeting will be in Jerusalem. And they kept writing for 2000 years and ultimately Israel became a reality. If as people, as Hindus, we have that persistence, if we have that strength in us and that faith and commitment, there would be again Akhand Bharat.
Thank you very much. I am sure a few more people will have some questions, but due to paucity of time, இதோட நிறுத்திப்போம். Yes, we'll do a national anthem. So request everybody to rise for the national anthem, please. जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलसित रंगा तब शुभ नामे जाहे तब शुभ आशीष मागे